Uh-oh, running out of breath, but I got stamina. Uh-oh, running out, I close my eyes, but I got stamina. And I see another mountain to climb, but I got stamina. I need another lover of mine, 'cause I got stamina. Don't give up, I won't give up. Don't give up, no, no, no. Don't give up, I won't give up. Don't give up, no, no, no. I'm free to be the greatest I'm alive. I'm free to be the greatest here tonight. The greatest, the greatest, the greatest. I love you. The greatest, the greatest. I love you. Uh-oh, running out of breath, but I got stamina. Uh-oh, running out, I close my eyes, but I got stamina. And oh yeah, running through the waves of love. I got stamina. And oh yeah, I'm running and I'm just enough. And I got stamina. Don't give up, I won't give up. Don't give up, no, no, no. Don't give up, I won't give up. Don't give up, no, no, no. I'm free to be the greatest I'm alive. I'm free to be the greatest here tonight. The greatest, the greatest, the greatest. I love you. The greatest, the greatest. I love you. Oh, oh, I got stamina. Oh, oh, I got stamina. Oh, oh, I got stamina. Oh, oh, I got stamina.
Hey, I am the truth. Hey, I am the wisdom of the fallen. I'm the youth. Hey, I am the greatest. Hey, this is the proof. Hey, I work hard, pray hard, pay dues. Hey, I transform with pressure. I'm hands-on with effort. I failed twice before. My bounce back was special. Let downs will get you. If the critics will test you, but the strongest survive. Another scar may bless you.
Don't give up,
Nah, no.
I won't give up.
Nah, no.
Don't give up, no, no, no.
Nah.
Don't give up, I won't give up. Don't give up, no, no, no. I'm free to be the greatest I'm alive. I'm free to be the greatest here tonight. The greatest, the greatest, the greatest. I love you. The greatest, the greatest. I love you.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here. You can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space with the air, like I don't care, baby. By the way, because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come bad news, talking this and that. Well, give me all you got, don't hold it back. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Hey! want to do. Bring me down, can't nothing bring me down. The love is too high to bring me down. Can't nothing bring me down. I said, clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Putting the Pieces Together Wellness webinar. I'm Holland Anderson, Director of Go Red for Women for the American Heart Association here in the Triad. And the American Heart Association and Go Forth Pest Control are so excited to have you here today with us. This program is the final piece of a three-part series on how to build an engaging employee wellness program and how to make accomplishing health goals even more possible. We can all use that. I'm so excited about today's lineup and the topic. This final part of our wellness series is bringing everything we've been talking about the last two before this together. We have experts that will share the do's and don'ts on setting health goals. We also have amazing local lifestyle change champions ready to share their personal tips that have helped them overcome the daily obstacles that tend to get in the way of reaching our health goals. Today, we'll learn how to set the right health goals for you and the real life tips that will help make those healthy goals a reality. We also round out our program today with a Q&A session, so feel free to make a note of questions that you'd like to ask along the way. Go Red for Women is nationally sponsored by CVS Health and Encompass Health and is a proud sponsor and our proud sponsor together to End Stroke as our national sponsor. I'd like to share a very special thank you from our Guilford Go Red for Women platform sponsor, Go Forth Pest Control. Check out a quick word from Leah Hazelwood, VP of Go Forth Pest Control.
Hi, I'm Leah Hazelwood, Vice President at Go Forth Pest Control. We're the proud Guilford County platform sponsors for the American Heart Association's Go Red for Women campaign. Today's webinar is the third in our three-part workplace wellness series. In our first webinar, we learned all about stress management, coping skills, and self-care in the workplace. In our second webinar, we learned all about how employees on the go and even busy parents on the go can make healthier food choices, squeeze in some exercise, and in the end, help our wallets as well. This third webinar today is going to bring all that together. How do we use these tips to build a wellness program for ourselves, and how do we hold ourselves accountable? And my favorite part is going to be these upcoming inspirational stories that we're going to hear from real folks who have made their health a priority and are living longer, healthier lives because of it. You are all an inspiration, and I thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for all your support, Leah, and the entire Go Forth team. You all are amazing and leaders in this community. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our first speaker for the day, Kia Glover, Wellness Center Counselor for Winston-Salem State University. Thank you for sharing your time and expertise with us today, Kia.
Oh, is it time to get started? Next slide, please. I missed my cue. Good afternoon, everyone. It is certainly a pleasure to be here with you. Just to spend a few moments just to identify something very practical that you can use in your day-to-day work life. And this is going to be focused on choosing yourself first making intentional choices for your health and wellness in the midst of a global pandemic. Next slide, please. So, first of all, I just have to lay the foundation and acknowledge the context in which we're currently living in. March of last year took us all by a whirlwind. So, it's certainly been a year in the making, and we're still attempting to live through these challenging times. We had COVID-19, which is still here, even though we have a vaccine and it's getting distributed, we still have COVID-19 and being impacted by it. We have the loss of friends and loved ones due to COVID-19, challenges with the presidential election, um, homeschooling, the difficulties and challenges with homeschooling. I have a 14-year-old and a 17-year-old, and they are pretty self-sufficient. They'll get online and do what they need to do. And that's not the reality for everyone who has elementary kids or kids who are not even in school yet. They're daycare age kids. Working from home, that can be a catch-22, right? You can have more time with your family, and then it could be, how do you navigate working from home, a work schedule, and managing homeschooling and all the different things that come with that. The reality of job insecurity, the challenges of being an essential employee, um, the reality of increased racial tensions. That's something that's very real. And all of these things definitely impact our mindset, increase psychological distress. By me being a licensed clinical social worker, I have certainly seen a skyrocket in individuals coming in for mental health counseling due to increased anxiety, increased depression, and just overall challenges with the current context we're living in. I invite everyone to just drop something in the chat. If there's something else that you've been dealing with during this time, it could be something that's challenging, or it could be something that's been particularly successful and it's been bringing you joy. I'd be curious to see what you can put in the chat box. Next slide, please. So with the list that I just gave, pretty exhaustive and challenging. Yes, more time to exercise. I see that. COVID-15 is definitely a reality for me. So being able to exercise and get outside and walk has definitely been a benefit. But I just want us to take a moment to acknowledge everything that's been happening over the past year and just breathe. So let's take just about 15 seconds or so and just acknowledge and honor the time and space that we've all been living and coping with during this time. Next slide, please. Okay. So considering what I just outlined and other things that you may be thinking about as I went through that list, it's really important to acknowledge how the current context makes you feel, right? And how is this impacting your life and your ability to show up and exist in the world and navigate the spaces around you? How is it impacting your ability to perform your daily life tasks and responsibilities, particularly at work, since this presentation is focused on employee health and wellness? How has your social reality impacted your ability to show up and navigate the world around you? And again, feel free to drop any thoughts or ideas in the chat box. Next slide. So what do we do, right? We have to have some practical, real, accessible things that we can do to manage the challenges that we're facing. How do we manage life? How do we have hope and experience joy in times like these? Next slide. So, my suggestion and one recommendation that I have is setting an intention practice. This is a little bit different than the customary to do list that we may have. This is a little bit different than setting your SMART goals or your 5-year life plan. This is really focused on what can you do each day. Sometimes it really is enough for us to take it one day at a time. And I really want to lay the foundation and define what intention really means. So, one definition that I found says, what one intends to do or bring about. What do you intend to do in your day to day life? Number two, a determination to act a certain way. What do you resolve to act? How do you intend to be? Let's say you have a colleague or a coworker who has an opposing opinion to you about everything that's going on in the world. And we sometimes we can have reactions to that. But how do you intend to deal with that throughout your day to day? And the one definition that really stood out to me and was really profound, and it just spoke volumes, is a process or manner of healing incised wounds. I really like that definition for intention. It means that you're intending to attend to yourself, you're attending to promote healing and wellness within yourself. Next slide, please. So, how do we even do this? How do we set an intention practice for each day? First of all, setting an intention is about your needs, it's about your healing and how you want to function within your day. This allows you to make yourself a priority so you're better equipped to show up for those around you, your family, your friends, your work, your school. Um, it's so easy to wake up in the morning and say, oh, okay, I've got this meeting, I got this Zoom, I got this Zoom. And before you know it, the day is gone and you haven't created any space or time for yourself. Setting a daily intention practice is you setting some time aside, maybe about 5 minutes in the morning, and focusing on what you need for that particular day. Pre COVID, when I worked in the office and I was seeing clients face to face, I would come in before I even saw my first person. I would say my hellos to my colleagues and I would shut my door. And I would just sit in my chair, put my bags down before I checked my emails, before I pulled out my planner. I would just sit and breathe and allowed myself to get grounded and centered in the place that I was going to be spending 8 hours of my day. I needed to get grounded and centered in that day and really think about what do I need for myself? How am I going to show up for the people that I work with each day? So, one suggestion is just as I explained, one, acknowledge where you are and how you're feeling and allow yourself a few moments to breathe. I'm a big advocate of breathing and taking mindful moments. I'm also a trained mindfulness facilitator. So I incorporate this in my daily life. Number two, take it to pen and paper and write your list. What do you intend for yourself that particular day? And you may even want to take out your cell phone or a notebook and just jot some things out. Um, the rest of the afternoon, what do you intend for the afternoon? Maybe from 1 to 5 o'clock. You may have some more Zoom meetings back to back or some phone calls, or maybe you get to check out of work a little bit early. What do you intend to do with that time? And here are a few examples that I listed. One, I intend to move through the day with ease. Some days can be more hectic and more stressful than others. If you know you have a busy lineup for that day, tell yourself that you intend to move through your day with ease, regardless of what's happening, right? Um, Two, I intend to honor my body. I noticed that someone in the chat mentioned that they had more time to walk and exercise, which is great. For me, it may be I, roast some vegetables because the day before I was just tired and I ordered a Marco's pizza. But I'm going to honor my body by having some roasted vegetables, fresh vegetables. Another example, I intend to complete a work task. One of my favorites is I intend to take a breath break. If I have time in between my sessions, I may take 5 minutes and do a brief meditation to again recenter myself and get grounded so I can be more focused and productive in the things that I need to do. Um, and I really want to highlight that these are things that you can do for yourself, by yourself, with yourself, without the assistance of anyone. These are great self help things that you can do. But it's also important to recognize when you need a little bit more. So I wanted to put in here that you could intend to acknowledge when you need the support of your community, right? We're very social beings and we need the support of our family, our friends, and our colleagues. And it's okay to acknowledge when you need that support. Another thing is sometimes, it depends on where you are, but intending to find pleasure at work. How can you find joy in your job and what you do day to day? Um, I'll give one example before I get ready to wrap up. And this also goes into number 3, developing a gratitude practice. My office space is pretty small. There are 4 of us. And so it's really just a matter of coming out of the office, walking up to the front, and then walking right back. And usually I just do this mindlessly, I'm just coming and going. And one particular day, I'm not sure what the reason was, but I took my time when I walked up front. And we have a storage closet and it's made out of wood. And I just happened to pause and I looked at the wood grain on the door. And I noticed that the wood grain had, in my perspective on that day, it had heart shapes all throughout the door and the wood grain. I was like, man, love is all around. And I was thankful for that moment. And that was a list or something that I could put in my gratitude list for that particular day. And that was something that was pleasurable, that was joyful for me to know that every time I walked past that door, there was a reminder that love was in that space. And the last thing that you can do that's very, very practical is develop a gratitude practice. It's just, again, nothing big, nothing fancy, just jotting down 3 things that you were grateful for within that day. And there is science to support that developing this gratitude practice by jotting down 3 things, whether they're big monumental events or they're small things, it really helps to support your mood enhancement. And when your mood is improved, then you are better able to focus at work, in your relationships. You're better able to do the things that are intended for you to do. So again, and one thing that I want to mention that I'm grateful for within these 15 minutes of being on this webinar is they played Happy by Pharrell. It's been so long since I've heard that song, and that is probably going to be my mantra. It is going to be in my head the rest of my day. So that is something that I'm very thankful for. So next slide, please. And so as I wrap up, I just want to give you a few resources that, again, are very practical and accessible for you. Again, I mentioned that I'm really interested in meditation mindfulness. And there are 2 free apps that you can use, Insight Timer and Calm app. Both of these can facilitate those breath breaks that I mentioned as far as setting your daily intention. I really like the Insight Timer because there's a link within the app that you can actually take a yoga class. Or a meditation class for absolutely free with perhaps a teacher who's all the way in Australia. And you can ask them questions and you can be involved in the chat just as you are here today. And again, that's something that's very free. Again, as a counselor, I have to promote mental health and wellness. And so if your employer offers the employee assistance program, again, this is you acknowledging that you need the support of your community. Reach out and use that resource. They offer those free sessions. The book that I mentioned as far as the gratitude practice, that is a title called Even Happier. And it goes deeper into the science of developing a gratitude practice. And one of the gold standards in meditation and mindfulness is a book called Wherever You Go by Jon Kabat-Zinn. So I hope that this presentation on setting a daily intention practice is something that you can incorporate in your life. And I hope that it's something that's very practical for you to use. So thank you.
Thank you, Kia. I have so many notes, unbelievable. My first thing is I want to say that I do have a little gratitude mantra or a positive mantra that I use, and I actually change. Our passwords are so long at work, it's like a sentence, that I actually make it a positive statement. So every time I have to log into my computer, I type in a positive statement, and I'm telling you, it reboots me and resets me every time. So thank you for validating my one little measure.
Yeah, I love that. And that one thing is volumes. It could be that one thing that you need in that particular moment. That's amazing.
I just absolutely wow. Somebody's asking, I think, a question. Let's see. Was there a question on there? I do have one question if there's not something specific.
Okay.
So you were talking about trained mindfulness. So that's not just yoga. Could you speak? That's not just yoga. That truly is taking a breath and taking a break. So.
Right. So I am trained in mindfulness-based stress reduction, and I'm also trained in Koru, which is a smaller version of MBSR that's specific for college students because that's the population that I serve. But this particular training, you focus on 8 skills, 8 mindfulness skills. One of them is mindful movement. So you do learn some gentle yoga poses, but you learn skills such as mindful eating, like taking your time to really process and enjoy the food that you're eating, mindful walking, mindful breathing, a sitting meditation, one of my favorite ones, where you're just really sitting and you're breathing and you're becoming increasingly aware of your thoughts without judging them, without getting attached to them. And it's an evidence-based practice that's used, and I'm sure you're very familiar with it. It's used in all different areas with chronic pain patients, mental health for sure. So I've been trained and I enjoy practicing it.
Well, thank you so much. I know there's going to be a zillion more questions at the end. I got to keep moving here. But now, thank you so much, Kia. Now we get to hear from a great local woman you're going to love. She's inspirational, motivational. She walks the mission of the American Heart Association's focus on health. She is the CEO of the Fit Chicks movement out of Greensboro and is a past Guilford Go Red woman, yay, BB, and a wonderful American Heart Association volunteer. And that's not it. She is a health and fitness coach. She's trained thousands of people in the community. She is moving all the time. I love her positivity. But she's fought hereditary high blood pressure for years. And she is determined to prevent hypertension and heart disease in her own future. So I'm thrilled to welcome Bibi Ramzia to our program. I hope I said that right, Bibi. And can't wait to hear your story. So thank you.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, great. I just want to start off my little presentation here for you guys. It's a quote, and the quote is, "It's not where you come from, but it's where you're going." So always remember that. When I was 19, I found out I had high blood pressure. Being young, I didn't really take it seriously. I didn't really understand what high blood pressure was at the time. I was on 5 different medications. 5. My doctor had me on 5 different medications. I was in and out of the hospital with high blood pressure, constantly having to stay the night. My blood pressure was so high. Finally, at one point, and I know I don't have much time, so I'm skipping a lot. My dad passed away. He had high blood pressure. My mom has high blood pressure. My dad passed away from a stroke unexpectedly. When he passed away due to high blood pressure, it totally changed everything for me. At that point, I started to take it more seriously. My doctor told me on a doctor's visit, he was like, if you don't get it together, you're going to end up with kidney failure or permanent heart damage. And that was a game changer for me. At that point, I started to work out. I had never been in the gym before, so I was like super intimidated about going into the gym because I always thought that that's where, of course, fit people were, and I wouldn't fit in. And I can remember the first time I went to the gym, I got on the treadmill. I started on the treadmill because I was doing cardio. He said that that would help me with my blood pressure. I got on the treadmill. I couldn't even run 5 minutes, barely walk or run 5 minutes on the treadmill. And I stuck to it. I realized that for my health, it was something that I had to do for my family, as well as myself, because I always think about that. Even when I talk to people and they say that they want to make a lifestyle change, but they don't have the dedication to do it. And I always tell them, like, do it for your family, because so many of us are dying at a younger age from heart disease, from stroke. And I see it all the time, even from people that I've went to school with. And it's just it seems to be at a much younger age now. So I'm always encouraging people to get out and to work out. And I know someone had posed a question, I think, when the question was posed earlier by Kia, someone said, having more time to be able to work out. Or they'll say finding more time. You have to make time. You have to make time for yourself, because we're all busy. We all work. We all have families. We have kids we have to take care of. My day starts off at between 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning every single day. Besides Sundays, I'll sleep in a little bit, just to get some rest. But it starts off between 4:30 and 5 in the morning. I'm running. Like this morning, I was out by 5 something, running with the group. I did 4 miles. I get back. I have to be on the 7:45 call for work every single day before I head out into the field. I'm out in the field all day long, moving, working with customers. I get off today probably about 5:30. I'll get home. By 6 o'clock, I have to go train a young lady who's trying to have a better lifestyle change and work on her health. And so I'll be there till probably about 7 o'clock or a little bit after 7. By the time I get home, I am exhausted, let me tell you. But I know I have to eat and be right back up again to do repeat the same thing the next day. And I'm not saying that everybody's workout regimen has to be like mine. We all have to find things that work for us. My thing is, we all have busy lives. Your schedule's probably not going to change. I don't always like getting up at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning to ensure that I get my workout in. But I know with me and my hereditary high blood pressure, if I don't keep it moving, I know where I'm going to end up. If I don't eat right, I know where I'm going to end up, because I have a family member, my dad, that's what happened to him. He had high blood pressure, opened up the refrigerator one morning, typical morning, he had a stroke and passed away. That could happen to me. It only takes one time for my blood pressure to go up for me to have a stroke. And it's so important to me to be able, like, even to be here and talk to you guys. So if I can get through to just one person and let them know, don't say find time, make it. I mean, if it means you have to get up 30 minutes earlier, we'll get up 30 minutes earlier. Get up and get it done and get it over with. You don't have to go out and run 4 miles, walk a half a mile. Get a stationary bike and ride a stationary bike. Through COVID, and a lot of times it's easier, or people will say, well, I can't make it to the gym. I don't go to the gym. I work out from home. I figured the money I was spending on working out, paying for the gym membership, which I would half want to drive to, I could go play it against sports, buy me some little workout stuff and do it at home. And that's what I did. I created a home gym that works for me and makes it easier so I don't have to get up and drive someplace. Or I'll go run through my neighborhood or run to the park. I mean, the streets are free, because sometimes I'll hear people will say, well, I can't afford a gym membership. The streets are free. Walking on the streets are free. So there's plenty of options. We have to learn to not make excuses, because we'll always find an excuse as to why we can't do something. So if you're really serious about, getting in shape, making sure that your numbers are right. It's like, as adults, we know what we have to do. We know, when my doctor told me that I was facing permanent heart damage and kidney failure, I knew what I had to do. Did I want to do it? Do I want to always get up? Not always. Luckily I found something that I love to do. I found running, which is a sport that has helped me so much, even mentally, as Kia was saying, taking a mental break. I run 4 days a week and I lift weights 3 days a week. Not to say that's what you have to do. Find something you like to do. If it's riding the bike, let it be riding the bike. If it's walking, then let it be walking. And, the quote that I started off with at the beginning, telling you guys, like, it's not where you come from, it's where you're going. That's like, I use that motto for life. And especially when it comes to like my health and fitness, because I know where I came from. I know that I've come from facing permanent heart damage and kidney failure, not being able to run on a treadmill for 5 minutes, to completing my first full marathon with a Boston qualifying time. If I can do it, I promise you, you can do it too. Is it easy? No, it's not easy. Do you make sacrifices every day? Yes, you make sacrifices. But if you don't take care of yourself, no one else will. I promise you. And if you have kids and stuff, do it for them. And it's small steps. I took small steps to be where I am today. So even if I have to tell you guys a story really quick. So even going back to what my doctor said about me having permanent heart damage and kidney failure, and being so young and being on all of those medications, I was training for my first half marathon, and I was on West Market Street, and unfortunately I was hit by a car, but that's not the point of the story is. I had to have surgery, and so they put me under, and I was talking to one of the nurses before they put me under for surgery, and I was telling her how I ran and stuff like that. And so when I came out of surgery and I was in the recovery room, the nurse was like, "BB, you really scared us." And I was like, "Well, why did you?" I said, "Why?" I said, "What happened?" She said, "Your heart rate went down so low, we thought something was wrong with you." She said, "Then I told the doctor, and I remembered that you said that you ran." She said, "You have the resting heart rate of Lance Armstrong." So that's like a huge turnaround from facing permanent heart damage and kidney failure. And I'm saying that to say it's never too late to start. And I'm not going to say exercise cures everything. I'm still taking a blood pressure medication, but I'm not on 5 blood pressure medications anymore. I'm only on 1. And I know that I will be on that 1 blood pressure medication for the rest of my life. And I'm fine with that. But I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure that I keep my numbers low, that I know my numbers. And that's the most important thing, is knowing your numbers, because a lot of times we'll walk around with high blood pressure and we won't even know it. I was doing a lunch and learn at an organization, and I was speaking, and afterwards a gentleman came up to me and he told me that his 7-year-old daughter was on blood pressure medication. And people are surprised because they don't think that high blood pressure, heart disease will affect younger people. It has no age on it. There's no age limit. So you have to first know your numbers, make sure you're going and getting your daily, your yearly, your checkups, and know those things. Even before I coach and train now, I always tell, anyone that I coach or train, you have to have a physical, because I have to know what your numbers are. You know, I want to know where you are. That's really important. And I know my time's probably running out here really quick, but it's just so important to me to be able to share my story and to encourage others, because I should be an example that anything's possible. And it's important to me to be able to talk to kids and encourage and get them started off at a younger age, just, you know, teaching them the importance of eating right and teaching them the importance of exercise, because it's very, very important. And you guys, I don't know how much time I have left, but you guys, if you need encouragement, you can follow me at Coach BB on Instagram. Inbox me. Like, if you have questions about stuff, you guys can inbox me. I'm going to be doing some free, I'm a certified bar instructor. If you guys are familiar with bar, yoga, Pilates, dance, ballet, strength training, I'm going to be doing some free Zoom classes. So if you want to come to some Zoom classes, I'm encouraging parents to let their kids come along. Because I know with COVID, we've all been sitting on the couch like couch potatoes, a lot of us. Not me, but just to get the kids up and going and off of those video games. You can reach me at Coach BB. And then I'm going to just end this really quick by saying again, you know, my quote, it's not where you come from, but it's where you're going. So you guys, you know, keep positive, take baby steps, and you can do it. I promise you. Thank you.
Thank you, BB. You're amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing. So powerful, and your energy is contagious. I have too many notes already. So, goodness gracious.
I'm
Stay
probably still high off of my pre-workout from this morning.
Good. See what happens at last. And stay with us all, because all these people are going to be bringing some more energy to this table at the end. We're going to do a Q&A, so everybody will come back to the table. But to keep us moving today, our last speaker is a longtime volunteer and supporter of the American Heart Association. He is a past American Heart Association lifestyle change champion. That says a lot, and he did a lot. And his story is going to inspire you, motivate you, and give us the push that we all need to stick to our health goals. I cannot even begin to introduce his incredible lifestyle change story. Let's welcome Lee Schloss. Thank you for being with us today, and I'll pass it over to you, Lee. Take it away.
Hey, Ellen, thank you. So my dog just rang its bell to go outside. That's so funny. So hey, everybody, I'm Lee. It's nice to meet you guys. Yeah, so my story is started a little bit different. It's still similar. There's some struggles. I was very large. I was a very hefty guy. I came from a background in sorry if you can hear the bells in the background. Apologize. If actually, can you give me just 1 second?
It's not a problem. We understand puppies, Lee. Lee has a new puppy. That's his new energy, I guess you could say. He'll be right back. But it's a cute
Apologize.
puppy.
I've got Jax here with me. So my story is a little different. I was a really big guy. I'd grown up. I'd played sports when I was young, but I really fell off as I started becoming an adult. I started getting more into golf and less into more aerobically intense sports. So I stopped playing golf. I stopped playing soccer and basketball, and I started playing more golf. Well, when I went to college, I kind of stopped playing sports altogether. Things kind of slowed down for me. I stopped, I was on the golf team at my college. I stopped playing there. So then the weight just kind of hit me. I started eating all the wrong things. I had a lot of free time on my hands. So I was just kind of sitting around. So one day, I got a job working with some really amazing people, and we all signed an accountability an accountability letter to ourselves. So we said that we are going to not let each other, one, fall off, but we're also not going to let ourselves fall off the wagon anymore. At that time, I was 351 pounds, and it was, I couldn't really walk to the, the water cooler at work. I could barely bend over and tie my shoes without getting out of breath. I didn't want to take the trash out because I was out of breath. I actually developed some really bad leg swelling. So I spent a lot of time sitting at my computer at my job. I'm in my computer, or I'm in my chair in my car on the way home. I come back home, I sit on the couch. I just spent all my whole day sitting. So I started developing some leg swelling, and it got progressively worse. So at first it would be, 30 minutes, I would notice my legs would swell, and then it became 8 hours, and then it became overnight. So it was just kind of scary, especially when coming from someone who doesn't like to go to the doctor. I was afraid at 351 pounds that, someone's actually going to tell me what to do. Like, hey, you need to take that medication. You need to lose some weight, or else. And so that kind of scared me, but I didn't know what to do with it. So these friends at work, these coworkers, they really, we formed this kind of accountability bond to each other. And through that, we just started walking. That was our first step, which is often the hardest one, is just getting out the door. And so we started walking. That became, that was like a 20-minute lunch walk. And that slowly snowballed into the next thing. So the next thing was a 30-minute walk. And then the next thing turned into, well, I hated running when I was a kid. Let's see if I would like it as an adult. So I joined a running group, a local running group. The local running group here in Winston-Salem, where I live. And that sorry, he muted me. That turned into, let's try to run a 5K. Finished my first 5K, and it just kind of seemed like, I loved BB's quote, but my quote that actually I love and I kind of stand by and live by is, what would you do if you could not fail? And that really appealed to me. It was sort of like asking something deeper that I didn't know how to really respond to. And so that became making and setting wildly, there's a work term called like a WIG or a WAG, which is like a wildly acceptable goal or wildly important goal, I think, a WIG maybe. Mine was wildly, like you couldn't hit it. Like you couldn't even, like a goal you had set that you couldn't hit. So something that you're like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do that. And for me, one of those things was like, let's try to lose 75 pounds in 3 months. And it's like, there's no way we're going to do that. But through that accountability group, it was kind of like, let's see what we can do. It's because it kind of became, well, if you don't lose 75 pounds in 3 months, but you lose 50 pounds in 3 months, or, something crazy like that, that's still an incredible, milestone. So once I started realizing that, we just kind of started keep setting those kind of crazy goals. So one of my first ones was lose 75 pounds in a few months. The next one was like, okay, well, I lost that much weight. How much more can I lose? Let's just try something else. So then I started again with the physical activity. So let's run. I ran my first 5K. I said, hey, why not try a 10K? Tried a 10K, ran my first 10K. And then I started getting into the realm of like, I don't know what's next. Didn't know there was such a thing as a half marathon. So figured I would try that. We tried that. And, baby steps later, ran a half marathon. Then you start seeing things like what's in your pictures now. So I tried my first sprint triathlon. I loved riding my bike as a kid, and I loved swimming. So let's try and see if we can put those together and do a triathlon. Did my first triathlon, really enjoyed that. And that really kind of spurred that, what would you do if you could not fail? What's the next big thing? So then someone kind of put it in my ear that, hey, we're going to train for this big triathlon, which I had no understanding about. I always saw the Ironman triathlon on, you know, NBC or something, watching the recap. And I'm like, how are these people going that far? Aren't they going to die? They're going to ride their bike 100+ miles. Aren't they? How's that even possible that they're doing that in 10 hours, you know? And it just seemed like a goal that seemed impossible. And I put it on the list, like, hey, like, why not? Let's try it. Baby steps later, in 2017, I did an Ironman in Chattanooga. It was really life-giving. And I just fell in love with trying something that was difficult, that I didn't think that I could do. So it's not like there weren't setbacks. That's the part I like to talk about, is how do you handle the setbacks? And really, you have to change your perspective on what a setback's going to be. Let's say something doesn't feel enjoyable, like you don't want to do something. Sometimes a perspective change can help you accomplish, get through what you don't want to do. So like I turn things, for me personally, I turn things into a game. So I was like, okay, well, if I don't want to run today, maybe I will see if I can compete against a friend of mine and see if he wants to run with me, or I'll see how many stop signs I can count this morning, or something like that. And that really helped me get through it. In terms of practical things that I actually started doing, I also started recording everything I ate. And then I also shopped only like the outside of the grocery store. I think those were really helpful for me when I first started. A lot of people don't really, I had never thought about that, that in the aisles, there's a lot of processed things. Why not just shop the outside of the grocery store? That's where you're going to get your proteins and your vegetables, and not a lot of processed anything. And that really helped with the weight coming off. Things seemed easier, and we just kept going. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Thank you, Lee. I just want to say that if anybody has any other bright ideas, mine is buy a puppy, because you could probably lose about 10 pounds a day just chasing the puppy around in your home office. So I want everybody to go out and rescue a puppy today. Yay. So that's my first thing. Thank you so much, Lee. You are such an inspiration. And I did like the idea of, I wrote down if you have a setback, really change the perspective, right? I never really thought about, well, if I didn't want to do something, making a competition out of it. I love that. People have a competitive streak every which way. So that, if you don't mind, amazing.
If you don't mind, I'd love to share a personal setback that just happened to me.
Yes, please.
That really impacted my ability to do some things. Is I actually developed pulmonary embolisms. So blood clots in my lungs currently. And so that has prevented me from, doing a lot of these really aerobically intense things. And so I've had to change how I view that, and how that is just, something that's not necessarily a setback. It's kind of like a side move. So how am I going to still do the aerobically intense things that I enjoy? Well, maybe I ride my bike more. I love riding my bike, or maybe I go on much longer walks, or maybe I go on more walks. Maybe I, go 2 times a day instead of like going out and getting that morning run in or something, go out for lunch. Sometimes I have the luxury actually of being able to take a work call from my phone, so I can go on a walk while I'm on my work call. And so things like that.
That's so helpful. I've got another question coming in. This one is for Leah. When you have a crazy day that, when you have a day that is crazy or not your best day, Kia, what do you personally use to, break out of that funk. I'm going to call it a funk. What do you do to break out of that crazy part of your day?
Oh, okay. I thought I turned my video on. Um, for me, usually it is stepping away from my social media. That's number one. Turn the social media off because that has a way of impacting your mood for sure. Um, if it's the weather is nice and it feels pretty good, I go out and I take a walk. I take a walk, I express gratitude, list the things that I'm thankful for, create some awareness about what I'm feeling, why I'm feeling what I'm feeling, and what do I need to do about that, if anything at all. I really allow myself to get introspective and spend some time with that, and learn how to make peace and accept however I'm feeling. Because feelings just kind of come and go and they change. If the weather is not so nice, then I may just make me a cup of tea. Like I love loose herbal tea. And so that's really been my thing since COVID, finding all these unique tea shops. So I take the time to just slow down and unwind and have some tea. Or I have this thing with some of my girlfriends, we call it beads and such. So what we'll do, maybe like on a Friday night, we'll text each other and we'll say beads and such, you know, if we've got life going on, because again, one of my intentions was if you can't do something, you know, within yourself to manage it, call on your community. So I call on my sister girls. I have a husband and I've got my kids and they're great, but sometimes you need your girlfriends. And so we'll all get on Zoom, and I tell you what, we can be on Zoom just kikiing away from like 8 o'clock at night until 2 o'clock in the morning. And sometimes that is just what my soul needs. So I have a lot of different things in my toolbox because you need different options because there's not a one size fit all. So that's what I do. Community, nature, and just slowing down and stepping away from social media.
So just to jump onto that, Lee, when your work group was holding the accountability piece, you know, you're doing the accountability contracts, what did y'all do? I mean, did you meet regular, or did you just call each other out? How did you set that up? I think that's a great opportunity to work as a team on your goals.
We actually had a weekly for a couple of our purposes. We a few of us wanted to lose weight, and that was kind of our main goal at the time. But that wasn't everyone's goal. One guy's goal was to actually gain weight. So we would just kind of just talk about it freely and try to be vulnerable. I mean, that's really the
very cool.
Difficult is, you know, saying like, hey, I'm struggling. I ate a whole box of Twinkies this week. You know, like that being vulnerable is really tough. We just admitted that once we started being more vulnerable, then it kind of opened the door. Also, we would hold each other accountable by literally going into each other's cubes at work and doing action. We called it spontaneous acts of wellness. So we would literally to each other's cubes and start doing squats, or do like 5 push-ups on his desk or something up against the wall, and be like, you know, hey, what are you gonna do? You know, and it was really turned, like, again, kind of turned it into a game.
I love it.
Now we probably got a little less done at work, but you know.
Oh, but that's worth it. That's definitely worth it. One question for let me ask BB a quick question. What do you tell people, you know, when you're coaching them and they get stressed or discouraged with their health goals? What do you tell them to kind of keep them moving? And also, will you give me an idea of like maybe what your starter home gym essentials maybe people are asking?
Sure. As far as like when I'm coaching and training, letting them get when they get discouraged, I don't let them get discouraged. I guess I'm just that hyper person. Like I'm a realist. It's not easy. It never gets easy. I mean, I've been working out for a while now, and you know, like I said, I have my tough days. Some days I don't feel like getting up, but I know that I have to do it for myself. So we all deal with different things in life. You know, we deal with stress, but it can be a different stressor. So depending on if they are telling me, you know, this is what I'm dealing with, if we're running, I'll tell them, you know what, we're going to leave it out here on the pavement. So whatever is bothering you, we're going to take it out on this asphalt and we're going to pick it up and we're going to move it and we're going to leave it there. So when we get finished with this 2 miles, how you felt before and how you feel after is going to be totally different. And for runners, you know, it's running can be like a high. I mean, I'm telling you, it's such a great way to release stress and to deal with, you know, the inner things that you're dealing with and just being able to let them go. And I know it's like that for myself, as well as a lot of other runners that I talk to, but I try not to let them get that way, you know. As far as with my home gym, I have a lot of things added to my home gym now. Of course, I've had it for a while. Basics, I would probably say if you're starting off, to get you a couple of 5-pound weights, a jump rope. Technically, you don't even really need to have a lot of extra equipment because, you know, you can have your jump rope, you can do jumping jacks, you can do mountain climbers. I mean, there's so many different exercises you can do. If you don't have equipment and you're looking to start out, take a look at Tabata or HIIT. It's just high intensity training. And so it'll have you doing jumping jacks, squats, mountain climbers. But I would say 5-pound weights, a jump rope and a mat.
That's perfect. And honestly, the only other thing I would add to that is your accountability partner. I think if you have all those basics,
well, yeah,
you're set to win.
It's good to have an accountability partner as well, but sometimes your accountability partner may not be there and you still got to get off your butt and get moving on your own.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Y'all, thank you so much. This has been the best little bow to this present that we've been wrapping for the 3rd series on. Thank you to all of our speakers today. Kia, BB, Lee, and Lee's puppy. I just don't even know what to say, except I feel better. And I know I'm going to make even more changes now. And with the weather getting better, I'm out of here. I'm going to start doing everything I can, Kia, outside. And thanks to all of our attendees. Everybody was great. And also the chat box. We really love it when you're engaged. We hope that you will take this information and share it with your workplace as well. And share it with your friends and family. Let's just make this a viral health and wellness. And I'm going to start spontaneous acts of wellness. My neighborhood's going to lose it probably, but it's getting ready to happen. So, and then my final thanks is to Go Forth. The Go Forth family and team has been so supportive and amazing. And I cannot thank them enough for putting this together. And we hope to continue sharing and inspiring people to come. So again, thank you all so much and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. What you doing? What you doing?